Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, fellow compatriots, fellow humans from across the planet, I am Nikhil Parekh. In this video, I shall be speaking about my book titled Life Equal to Death, Volume 9, Poems on Life, Death, as well as giving you a recitation of different poems from this book of mine. So friends, let me commence with an introduction to this book of mine about the poetry book. This book, which has 50 differently titled poems, is actually volume 9 of the book titled Life Equal to Death. Poems on Life, Death, 1200 pages. This enigmatic collection of poems explores and equates the boundless possibilities of life and death and delves into each intricate inexplicability of survival. Parekh's roving philosophical eye brings the unconquerable richness of life to the fore, and yet at the same time explicitly highlights the veracity of death as the absolute certainty of every existence. The poet joyously celebrates the occasions of both life and death with equal panache. In each poetic stanza sewn with the uncanny mysteries of this universe. The poems within immortalize both life and death as the ultimate victories, and the two most contrastingly amazing and divine sides of creation, catapulting the reader to the threshold of ultimate ecstasy. They bring about an impromptu twist with the closure of breath and what lies beyond. This charismatically woven collection of poetic verse would equally enamor the narcissist as well as the simple humanitarian to the core. This book is a humble attempt to enlighten the readers with the equality of life and death, and to live in both of them to the most unparalleled fullest, embracing only the religion of humanity as the Lord has commanded every living being on earth. You can't die in life and can't live in death. Each of these components are irrefutably equal in every respect and should be worshipped with due obeisance. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I shall be giving you a recitation of 4 different poems from this book of mine. These different poems are titled as The Greatest Gift, Best Friend, Success, and No Gaps. Of course, at any juncture of victoriously mesmerizing existence, you can purchase this book of mine from Amazon.com. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a recitation of my poem titled The Greatest Gift. The greatest gift that the tree could shower upon this earth was its stupendous myriad of bountiful fruits and exotic berries. The greatest gift that the sky could shower upon this earth was torrential downpours of ravishing rain. The greatest gift that the ocean could shower upon this earth was ingratiatingly tangy hillocks of mesmerizing salt. The greatest gift that the cow could shower upon this earth was impeccably glistening globules of sacrosanct milk. The greatest gift that the roses could shower upon this earth was their astounding entrenchment of spellbinding scent. The greatest gift that the sun could shower upon this earth was its omnipotent festoon of enchantingly golden rays. The greatest gift that the forests could shower upon this earth was their enigmatic wilderness, metamorphosing mundane reality into an enigmatic paradise. The greatest gift that the artist could shower upon this earth was his unfathomable reservoir of profusely poignant artistry. The greatest gift that the cuckoo could shower upon this earth was its explicitly candid voice, which infiltrated like a majestic prince at the crack of every ethereal dawn. The greatest gift that the lake could shower upon this earth was its magnanimous tranquility, the rejuvenating serenity in its nimble lap. The greatest gift that the mother could shower upon this earth was her innocently frolicking and divinely offsprings. The greatest gift that the soldier could shower upon this earth was irrefutable triumph for his treacherously tyrannized motherland. The greatest gift that the teacher could shower upon this earth was its robust young citizens, surging towards a brilliantly optimistic tomorrow. The greatest gift that the fire could shower upon this earth was its compassionate inferno of comforting flames, illuminating the ghastly blackness of the night with the winds of untamed excitement. The greatest gift that the pearl could shower upon this earth was its royally charismatic aura, which embraced all with an everlasting shine. The greatest gift that the breath could shower upon this earth was instilling new life, inevitably proliferate the chapter of existence for an infinite times. The greatest gift that the heart could shower upon this earth was insatiable energy to achieve the most impossible of fabulous dreams. The greatest gift that man could shower upon this earth was the spirit of philanthropic humanity, benevolently walking shoulder to shoulder with another of his fellow kind. And the greatest gift that God could shower upon this earth was immortal love, is immortal love, and will remain immortal love forever. And the greatest gift that God could shower upon this earth, was immortal love, is immortal love, and will remain immortal love forever. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled Success from this book of mine. So here is a recitation of my poem. Success is not just placing the roof of Everest directly into your palms. In fact, it lies in conquering the same, with untamed exhilaration in your bones, with a spirit of profuse thrill lingering all over your twinkling countenance. With a spirit of profuse thrill lingering all over your twinkling countenance. Success is not just blessing you with an ocean of gold. Success is not just blessing you with an ocean of gold as you woke up from the heart of deep sleep. In fact, it lies in assiduously persevering your way to it with an unrelenting desire to be triumphant at every stage. Success is not just placing a platter of tantalizing food before you, even as you nimbly uttered F. Even as you nimbly uttered F. In fact, it lies in plowing soil. In fact, it lies in plowing soil under the acrimonious sun, poignantly perspiring to sow and harness. Poignantly perspiring to sow and harness the marvelous fruits of a dynamically vibrant tomorrow. Success is not just gifting you the key to the most grandiloquent castle in this colossal universe. In fact, it lies in constructing it. In fact, it lies in constructing it brick by brick, blending your blood in its impregnable walls to reside in it for infinite more births of yours yet to come. Success is not just endowing you with all stupendous beauty, which incessantly titillates and mesmerizes this planet. In fact, it lies in dedicating countless lifetimes in savoring its charm, devoting yourself, mind, body, and soul to relish each of its exotically ravishing forms. Devoting yourself, mind, body, and soul to relish each of its exotically ravishing forms. Success is not just uttering an I love you. Success is not just uttering an I love you to every beautiful damsel you encountered on the trajectory of this earth. In fact, it lies tirelessly proving yourself to it, burning like 1,000 candles every instant to see your partner blossom into the fragrant flower of bountiful prosperity. Success is not just deluging you from all sides with gigantic textbooks of sagacious truth. Even as you walked in a land of foolhardy cowardice. In fact, it lies in disseminating its irrefutably sacrosanct essence, spreading its omnipotent light to the most remotest iota of this mammoth globe. Success is not just making you the strongest entity breathing in this world, even as you yawned languidly towards the dreary moon. In fact, it lies in invincible conviction engulfing your visage, the uninhibited catharsis of your heart and body, which made your tiny-bodied caricature the most immortal organism alive. The most immortal organism alive. And success is not just showering upon you a boundless births, even as you compulsively lived each moment of your worthless life. In fact, it lies in audaciously plunging into the valley of exuberant adventure, victoriously emerging from the deepest of coffins, saluting and embracing existence as the ultimate of its kind. And success is not just showering upon you a boundless births, even as you compulsively lived each moment of your worthless life. In fact, it lies in audaciously plunging into the valley of exuberant adventure, victoriously emerging from the deepest of coffins, saluting and embracing existence as the ultimate of its kind. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled Best Friend. So here it is, a recitation of my poem titled Best Friend from this book of mine. The whole world clung to you invincibly when you were prosperous, standing tall in due adulation of even your most diminutively capricious of achievement. But the one who unflinchingly supported you when you were dithering towards the corridors of horrendous extinction was irrefutably your only and best friend. The whole world clung to you unassailably when you were bloomingly beautiful, enchantingly devouring even the most ethereal sound that you painstakingly emanated from your mouth. But the one who impregnably supported you when you were disastrously penurious and withering towards a gory end, was irrefutably your only and best friend. The whole world clung to you when you were redolently blissful, basking profusely in the glory of even the most infinitesimal of your drifting senses. But the one who uninhibitedly supported you when the society maliciously poisoned each of your precious moments was irrefutably your only and best friend. The whole world clung to you when you were inundated with an unsurpassable ocean of gold and silver, overwhelmingly appreciating even the most tiniest speck of currency that you whisked far away from your bohemian palms. But the one who formidably supported you when each part of your persona was brutally incarcerated in cloudbursts of devastatingly deadly disease was irrefutably your only and best friend. The whole world clung to you when you were rhapsodically ecstatic and unconquerably looming large over the planet, unfathomably willing to relinquish their breath at even the most inaudible of your commands. But the one who unequivocally supported you when there wasn't a roof to exist above your head, nor an iota of cloth upon your pathetically shivering visage, nor an iota of cloth upon your pathetically shivering visage, was irrefutably your only and best friend. The whole world clung to you when you were incomprehensibly powerful, insatiably yearning to have a glimpse of even the most oblivious of your divinely gestures. But the one who indefatigably supported you when the entire universe around was savagely sucking your blood, was irrefutably your only and best friend. The whole world clung to you when you were ebulliently bouncing in the aisles of paradise, profusely saluting even the most insipidly lugubrious jewel that you flung nonchalantly on threadbare soil. But the one who perpetually supported you when daggerheads of maniacal depression obsessively asphyxiated you from all sides, was irrefutably your only and best friend. The whole world clung to you when you were the king of this universe. The whole world clung to you when you were the king of this universe, intransigently dying to hear even the most ridiculous cadence of your despicably dwindling voice. But the one who immutably supported you when your philanthropic philosophies were pulverized to raw shit by the monotonous society, was irrefutably your only and best friend. And the whole world clung to you when you were flamboyantly breathing passionately everlasting fire and disseminating majestically immortal love on every step, clapping at even the most squeamish saliva that you spat with languid nonchalance. Clapping at even the most squeamish saliva that you spat with languid nonchalance. But the one who inspiringly supported you when the tyranny of fate had engendered you to plunge into the valley of treacherous death, was irrefutably your only and best friend. But the one who inspiringly supported you when the tyranny of fate had engendered you to plunge into the valley of treacherous death, was irrefutably your only and best friend. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled No Gaps. So here is a recitation of my poem No Gaps from this book of mine. The gap between the brilliantly extreme North Pole and supremely celestial South Pole was infinite, yet you weren't perturbed even an infinitesimal ethereal iota. The gap between blistering sunlight, the gap between blistering sunlit east and desolately whimpering west was infinite, yet you weren't disoriented even a clammily squelched iota. The gap between the enigmatically enchanting nature and disdainfully monotonous concrete building The gap between the enigmatically enchanting nature and disdainfully monotonous concrete building was infinite. Yet you weren't hassled even an inconspicuously parsimonious iota. The gap between the fathomlessly iridescent sky, and frantically bombarded land was infinite. Yet you weren't bothered even an ephemerally shrinking iota. The gap between the nostalgically tempestuous past and pragmatically placating present was infinite. Yet you weren't perpetuated even an fugitively frigid iota. The gap between irrefutably unassailable truth and derogatorily cold-blooded lies was infinite. Yet you weren't pierced even a fleetingly diminutive iota. The gap between beautifully blessing humanity and hedonistically treacherous insanity was infinite. Yet you weren't moved even an fecklessly evanescent iota. Even a fecklessly evanescent iota. The gap between diabolically pulverizing crime and unsurpassably bountiful motherhood was infinite. Yet you weren't permeated even a nonchalantly disappearing iota. The gap between punctiliously sagacious logic and deliriously decrepit rampancy was infinite. Yet you weren't touched even a diminutively insolvent iota. The gap between ubiquitously enamoring honesty and despondently barbarous politics was infinite, yet you weren't affected even a worthlessly floating iota. The gap between ebulliently exhilarating freedom and disastrously dilapidated incarceration was infinite, yet you weren't troubled even a ludicrously obsolete iota. The gap between compassionately tantalizing sweetness and venomously ballistic retribution was infinite, yet you weren't distraught even a mercurially fading iota. The gap between perennially fructifying rain and devastatingly truculent drought was infinite, yet you weren't vexed even a baselessly inane iota. The gap between beautifully blessing paradise and the malevolently cannibalistic parasite was infinite, yet you weren't disturbed a threadbarely non-existent iota. The gap between the lecherously victimized gutter and the majestically insuperable steps of heaven was infinite, yet you weren't dwindled even an invisibly infidel iota. The gap between heartlessly sermonizing war and eternally resplendent childhood was infinite, yet you weren't shaken even a meagerly fractional iota. The gap between deplorably decaying illiteracy and prosperously burgeoning kinsmanship was infinite, yet you weren't pierced even a stingily corrugated iota. The gap between brutally decimating anarchy and uninhibitedly priceless artistry was infinite, yet you weren't whiplashed even a mundanely measly iota. The gap between the impregnably priceless innocence and bombastically prejudiced manipulation was infinite, yet you weren't frazzled even a incoherently diminishing iota. And paradoxically to the above, the gap between immortally heavenly life and inevitably destined death was just a single breath. Yet you dreadfully bemoaned about that moment, uncontrollably trembled at its very thought, even before you devoured your first morsel of food on this fathomless planet, even before you emitted your very first cry. And paradoxically to the above, the gap between immortally heavenly life and inevitably destined death was just a single breath. Yet you dreadfully bemoaned about that moment, uncontrollably trembled at its very thought, even before you devoured your first morsel of food on this fathomless planet. Even before you devoured your first morsel of food on this fathomless planet, even before you emitted your very first cry, even before you emitted your very first cry. Ladies and gentlemen, it honestly was a privilege for me to have given a recitation of this poetry of mine to your exuberantly mesmerizing jurisdiction. From the innermost realm of my soul, I wanted to express my gratitude to you for having so gloriously patronized my poetry. Of course, at any juncture of victorious existence, you can purchase this book of mine from Amazon.com. Thank you for listening to me.